Hello and welcome back to another episode of her Gypsy Soul podcast, The Stories That Bind Us. My name is Jacqueline van Bierk. I am a singer, songwriter, artist, music composer, and I love people. These past episodes have been about band stories. In particular, my band, Otto's Daughter. I've been talking to my past members and we've been sharing just how we got started and wrote stories about to follow soon. We haven't even got to the point just yet. But I just wanted to let you in because band stories, it's so interesting. Like that is an experience that some musicians might think, we never made it, blah, blah, blah. But there's one thing that nobody can ever take from you, and this is an experience. And being in a band, being on tour is such an amazing experience that I am so grateful for that I got to live that. So with me today is my guest, Jim Robbins, my longtime guitar player and partner. We have so much to talk about that this will not be the second and last. This is already part 2. But this is the second part of the first interview that we've done, and there will be more to follow. And we figured at the end of the podcast, we share a few behind the scenes funny things that this is who we are and what we do when we think we're not on camera, even though we are. With no further ado, I hope you enjoy this episode. As always, in the comments below, leave us your comments. Please like and subscribe and share if you like what you heard. And ask us any questions. If you have any questions about the band, about being on tour, about being in a band, in the comments below, hit me up and we'll be answering your questions. With no further ado, here's Jim Robbins Part 2. And then when we were in El Paso, we got a chance because we were, again, the only ones who would take walks. We'd be like out in the pecan farm. Remember that?
Yes, that was fantastic. Okay, I do have a gadget story with that because I would always go off because it wasn't my baby. That record was you guys, and I came down for the experience and for I guess support, but it was just a cool band thing to do. The whole band went down.
Yeah.
But I didn't have any veto power or anything, so I was like, stay in your lane. This is between Gadget, Jacqueline, and Neil, and Sebastian probably has a couple of words to say here and there, but he probably already talked with Gadget about it. So I was just enjoying the entire place because the Rio Grande was like 400 yards away from us, and I remember I was walking. I had my headphones on and I was walking, and I think you jumped on the back of me. I didn't know. I thought you were in the studio, and I was like, "What the fuck is this?" And he turned around and you're like laughing. And but another time I was walking and it was turning into sunset, and Gadget came up behind me on a bicycle. And he said, "Hey, man," I said, and I was like, "Hey, what's up?" And we're talking for a few seconds. Then we look over and the sun is just starting to set over the mountain. And I think both of us were like, "Man, that's gorgeous." Then we looked at each other and we were like, "We gotta go now." He took off on the bike and I just turned my head the other way and walked away like, we can't have a moment here.
You had a moment.
We almost had a moment. We're like, nah, no.
So funny. That was a cool experience. I love that. That was such a great ranch. I don't remember the guy's name.
I don't either.
But all I remember that we had the best Spanish food. The guy was like a wine expert. And I remember he had the most expensive, most tasty freaking wine ever. Like, I was like, oh my God, this is amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't drink wine, so you guys had a great time. But I had Jack in the Box. It's like Jack in the Box.
Oh my God, you're so funny. Yeah, that was great. Yeah, and then we moved back, and at some point, we, I think, we got tired of, it felt like we were playing the same circuit over and over in New York and in the tri-state area, that like whatever we could. But at some point someone mentioned that I should check out LA, and so I was like, I don't really like LA, everything I hear about it, posers, blah blah blah. And I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm gonna go. I talked to Gadget about it. I'm like, Gadget, maybe we should go down and just be open about it. That was at the MP3 times. And mp3.com, and Claudia from Luna Click actually was one of the people who was like, you would be doing so great in LA, blah, blah, blah. And so Gadget and I flew out to LA and just checked it out. And we're like, I don't know, we check up Bar Sinister and all this kind of stuff. But there was something about it. And I was like, you know what? This band had hit a plateau and we need to move on and where do we go from here? And then I decided, and then I was like, I want to go, and whoever wants to come, of course, Gadget was willing to go. And then we told all of you, we're like, well, we're going to go and you can stay or leave. That's up to you. It's not my responsibility. If nothing happens, then I can't help you, and you had a really good job at the phone company that you've been with for a long time. And that was pretty fucking huge of you, because right when I approached you, you were like,
well, I remember when you said you were going out on a fact-finding mission or something. You were going out to Los Angeles, and I think me and Dan ended up hanging out. We went to go see Carfax that weekend at downtown. Dan and I think we talked about it like, wow, what do you think you're gonna do? Because I remember we didn't need to answer it immediately. I think he gave us like a month, and I really sat and thought about it for a week. And I really, really thought about it for a week and a half. And I was like, I have no idea what I'm gonna do out there. I can't. I'm not guaranteed a job out there as a lineman out there. We got to figure this out. I got to figure this out. And I chose to go. No one else chose to go, which I can understand. But at the same time, it was a little strange, because I really enjoyed the five of us that we had. I enjoyed Dan, and I enjoyed. I loved having. There was a really cool energy with the five of us. It was always funny. It was serious a lot of the times, but it was always something dumb that would happen that would just cut any of the problems down to nothing. And again, there wasn't even really any problems, but we practiced seriously. I remember
when you say serious, I think we just had a work ethic. We were like, we wanted to make sure that we could play our songs without the sampler, with the sampler, because remember what happened, right? When we played Stuck at the, and we blew everything out, and we're like, fuck.
I wasn't there yet.
The most sample-heavy song, the opening song with a huge crowd on a big stage, and here we are, like,
cricket.
Fake it, improvise. We're like, shit, oh my God.
I wasn't there. I wanted to play Everything Closet too. I wasn't with you guys at the time.
Oh, you were not there yet.
I might have had Timmy Rockmore there. Timmy Rockmore had a lot of that Renew record, from what I remember. And he was amazing. Because I was like, what the hell are you playing?
Yeah.
I could do a lot of work to learn some of that stuff. And then I met him, and I think when I meet him on Avenue A or something, and I was walking across the street with you and Sebastian, I think, and Timmy was coming out of one of the bars, 12A or something, 13A, whatever that bar was. He was coming out, and he was this little dude, and he's like, hi, I'm Timmy. And I remember he had little hands. I remember he was just a little dude, and I was like, how do I feel like I'm the actor that is signed on to play this guy, but I look nothing like this guy? It was like one of those, I'd be playing your guitar parts. I think I said that to him. Hi, I'd be playing your guitar parts for the band, And he's like, how you doing, man? I was like, whoa, this is not the guy I expected who wrote all that interesting shit.
Right.
I don't know, it was weird.
But those parts were meant for you.
What?
Those parts were meant for you.
Yeah. What else in there? I think I bought I remember when I first joined, Gadget was like, yeah, your Marshall's not going to really work with this or something like that. So I ended up buying a whole new rig, with the exception of one speaker cabinet. I bought all that crap and didn't buy a speaker cabinet. So every night after rehearsal from one band, I put it in the van. I drive from Jersey City back home to Brooklyn, go to work. Next night, drive out to Far Rockaway, take the cabinet in, play. At the end of that rehearsal, put it back. I did this for like, a year?
Oh my God, yeah.
Falling asleep on the way home. Fell asleep on the Brooklyn Bridge, and I hit the sidewalk. I was like, all right, this has got to change.
I know you would always tell us that you're like, Yeah, I fall asleep a lot. I'm like, you probably should not do that. Drink your coffee. You're like, I don't drink coffee. At the time, you were drinking a lot of Mountain Dew.
Yeah, I don't do that either. And that's before Starbucks. Remember, I was in New York. For my friend Steve, we were near West Fourth or something like that. He's like, come on, I want to go grab a coffee. I was like, okay. And this is before I knew who you guys were. And he goes into a Starbucks. I'm like, what do you want to drink from a Starbucks for? And then, my friend Jordan, when he went to make his record out in Los Angeles, he's like, I told him I'm moving to Los Angeles. He's like, you're going to love Starbucks. I go, why? And now look, I live on the damn shit.
I used to laugh at people at Starbucks like that. I'm like, well, what are all these people hanging? When we first got to LA, I was like, why are all these people at Starbucks? It's like it looks like it's a bar. And then we became those people.
Yeah.
We became those very people that order these special drinks because that was our thing. I mean, so we moved to LA. And funny fact is also, I think I mentioned that before with Gadget or with Sebastian. When you first joined the band, I thought you were way too metal for us. I didn't necessarily want you in the band.
No.
And Gadget was like, give the guy another chance. He learned every freaking part. He's a good observer, And then the more
And you didn't have to drive me home at the end either. I had my own car, my own equipment.
God, yeah, you were probably one of the first people who had their shit together. Because like either somebody wouldn't have an amp, or they always had a guitar, or they didn't have transportation. We would drive people back and forth. It was pathetic, ridiculous, seriously. And you were the first who like knew all the parts, was really responsible, and you were really into the band. And the more you played with us, I was like, oh, I'm starting to dig this. It's like, it's cool. Like, because, I was a big Pantera fan, and I still am. It's actually one of the very few metal bands I really fucking love. And I was like, oh shit, like I really fell in love with it. I'm like, Jim, then I would always tell you, like, give me the chugga 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 chugga. You're like, remember that?
I remember that, yeah.
You're like, what? I'm like, the chugga chugga.
I also remember the one story. It was you were finishing up. I think you and Gadget said that, and Sebastian probably at this point, but I always went by what Gadget said for the most part, because you would show up. We would be ready for like a half hour before you would show up. And so I kind of just knew to go to him, not to bother you, just to go to him. And he's like, I think you guys decided, we're going to try and integrate you and Dan into this record because, you feel you're the band now. So one night we tried to write, and we wrote a song, but then you had to have Dan there one night to do something. And I remember hearing, I think Gadget or you told me the story. He's like, yeah, can you play something like what Jim would do? I was like, that's not nice. That's not nice at all.
I know.
Because Dan had his own style, and Dan's style was really good. And I knew how to play around Dan's style from playing with my friend Steve. He would play in the higher registers, I'd play in the lower registers. So you get a full sound.
It worked out pretty well having two guitar players for sure. I liked it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had our moments.
Except the one time when Dan played the entire song off key. Remember that?
That was a double D's.
Oh, I'm like, oh my God.
Dan!
And he's playing like he doesn't even realize. I'm like,
I think that was Hale.
It was
that Hale?
Songs that I already had a hard time with, and then he played off key, and I'm like,
it was Hale.
Oh my God, it was painful.
There were some songs I really wanted to play. Well, I remember when I first came in and wanted to play, I was like, all right, so we're gonna like rehearse Shattered, and they're like, we don't play Shattered. I was like, shit. Okay.
We used to play it at the very beginning, though. I used to love that song. I think it became a matter of, because at that point we had like more songs, and we only had so much time to play, so we always had to pick and choose. So yeah, was I still doing the Blood when you came into the band for a long time?
No.
Yeah, because Miss was like the song I always would do the stage Blood, and then it was really hard to let that go.
I don't think you did the Blood. I don't think you did the Blood at the time when I got there. You were doing the sheet, and then the again, it was right after 9/11, so that was that phase of the band. And then the last show we played from that week of playing 3 shows in New Orleans, and then we ended up playing a show in Jersey. Gadget got mad and threw the sticks at the crowd because they were watching the game. But you were completely gold, which was funny because I think Sebastian was silver, and and that's when I was like, you look like you're in Cirque du Soleil. Again, for a goth band, you didn't look goth to me at that point.
Right.
You were far more Cirque du Soleil. I mean, the rest of the band looked kind of, no, I can't even say that.
Yeah, I think we were just doing our thing at that point. You know, we were never trying to fit in, and in a way, we never quite fit in because we were not metal enough to be completely metal. We were not goth enough to be completely goth. We were not punk enough to be completely punk. We were like a combination of, you know. But then when we toured, fast forward like LA, when we finally had our band that we talk about it way later, probably not in this episode. People would always come up to us and tell us how metal we are, and we're like, really? You know, but I mean, I'll be like, cool, thanks. Like, if that's what they think, who am I to argue, right? They were there. They rocked out to it and they experienced it. So I never considered myself metal, but I loved. We at the very end, we were like a power fucking band because with the lineup we had, and with all the shows under our belts, we could have been. You could have woken us up at 4 a.m, right? We would have gotten on stage and like kicked ass, like, because we had it down. Like,
you were automatic,
and in a good way. We I wouldn't say automatic, but I would say like we not like, no matter what would happen, we would know how to deal with it. Something goes out, we'd find a way to make it happen, you know, to work around it.
All right, we played 2005 when we came around with the first incarnation with Ro and G and Mo, and there's a few stories in there. We were setting up, and you had a videographer or somebody that was coming there, and you're like, oh yeah, he's gonna plug his stuff over here. I said, yeah, as long as he knows not to touch my stuff. And we set everything up, and we were already used to setting everything up, so everything was, again, it was getting automatic at that point.
Yeah.
And we were playing the show, and I'm like, how come the monitor's not working? Like, I couldn't hear the loops, but I could follow G's drum. So I heard the actual drum. So I would just, that's the other thing, I would lean down because I could hear the drum under all of the other sound. And then whenever we hit the strobe lights, then I hear the monitor. During like Useless and stuff, we'd hit the monitor.
Yeah.
The strobe lights, and then the monitor would go on. The guy doing the videographer switched some plugs around, and the monitor only went on when I hit the strobes. I was like, what the fuck is going on? And then I think we stopped for a second, and I switched the plugs around. I was pissed at that dude, man.
That's always shit like that happening.
That's when Pete's like, hey, you guys tour with the sound guy? No, you should. Thanks.
Oh my God,
Pete, I don't need that right now.
Pete Steele, that's a whole different, you know. So when we got to LA, we didn't have a full band. It was Gadget, you and me. And I remember like we were just fucking around at first. We were just like going out, making friends, you know, socializing, networking. Huh?
We were drinking then.
A lot of drinking, a lot of partying.
A lot of drinking.
Well, just parties, like just being part of this kind of scene, right? Trying to feel shit out. And then, and also we didn't have a band. So Gadget started working at Guitar Center, making some connections. And you and I decided, well, while we don't have a full band, why don't we do an acoustic set at the Rainbow Bar and Grill upstairs? And it's a very iconic place. And that was so cool, right? Remember that? We had like candles.
It was nice.
Like little circle of candles. And we figured like, this is an introduction to Otto's daughter, even though this is not who we are. We're not an acoustic band, but it was, I always loved like stripping it down because it was nice. It was nice to actually hear the song, you know, because when you have all that other stuff going on, it's awesome, but there's a lot going on. But when it was stripped down, it's like, that's the proof that the song is actually a good, decent song, you know, a good song.
Which you see, if you have a good structure that's standing for it.
Yeah.
That was a good show. That's actually where Garrison.
Yeah, that's where we met Garrison. And that's where we eventually put the band together. You know, we had Garrison, and then we had
Kenny for a while.
Huh?
Kenny played the whiskey show.
The whiskey show. What was our first show in LA besides the Rainbow? Was it the whiskey?
I think so. Wait, let me think. We played somewhere in the valley. We played some coffee house in the valley that didn't have alcohol.
Oh, I remember.
The stage was like this high off the ground.
Yes, I remember that.
To that.
It was an all ages show.
Yeah, it was in Tarzana or something like
But
that.
that was the first show? I didn't think it was the first show because we did.
I think so.
Yeah.
Because we didn't. Again, you don't want the wheels to fall off in front of everybody. You have to test the show. I think that the Valley show was the test drum show.
And then we probably played with Luna Click, right? But like we kind of like the big show, like where we had to sell tickets. We hooked up with this. I don't remember the name of the company right
Powder.
now. Huh?
We played with Powder.
Oh no, but the name of the company who would book us.
M Productions.
Them and someone else, and they would.
Oh, what was his name? Sean Healy.
Probably, yeah. That sounds right. And so we did like a lot of what we didn't know, or we kind of knew already. Like LA is all about pay to play, and so we had to sell tickets and stuff. So we teamed up with a lot of bands, and the first few shows we did really amazing, and we even like won a ton of awards because we played the Rocky shows.
Played the Rockies, yes. I forgot about that. That was a really good show. Didn't Dan play that night as Empire Hideous?
I don't know.
Remember Dan came out and played?
I don't remember, but I know that like there were like a lot of bands. I don't remember. Like it's been so long. But that was cool. It was like a cool community.
Yeah, the funny story to tie everything together from the old to the new. When we played Don Hills, we played with the Peppermint Creeps. I remember you were like, who are these guys that look like Kiss? And then the first show we played was at that girl's house, and the Peppermint Creeps were playing right after us in her living room. And we were like, we played with you guys in Don Hills.
Oh my God, I forgot about that.
I remember the band because of the drummer. The drummer was always talking to us.
I know.
He was a huge Motley Crue fan.
That was so cool. He passed away too, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Long time ago.
He died on the road.
I forgot about that band. Not that band, but like that show with the girl in a house. That's right. The Peppermint Creeps, and we played there. Shit.
I like the Peppermint Creeps.
They were fun. They were like a fun group of.
Great band.
Mm-hmm,
they looked glam, but they were punk rock.
They were punk rock. There was like a really interesting Ophelia Rising. You played with them a couple times. And there was like, it was a bunch of us that played like Bar Sinister, a couple times. We did really well at first in LA. We had a really good following.
Yes.
And at the time, there was still like the lineup was Gadget, and then Gadget eventually left. He left in 2005. Or probably sooner.
The last show we played with him was at the Hard Rock Cafe in
Hard Rock Cafe, I think the Hard Rock Cafe.
Universal City.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
I remember that. And then there's a whole new chapter starting with Otto's daughter. That was then.
Do we even do that, or do that next time?
I think we do that next time, because it's
okay.
There's so much to talk about, the touring and all the stories on the road. Oh my God, we have so much to talk about.
it was a lot of fun. The New York, I've been blessed to play with a lot of really great people, and that the New York Otto's daughter, nothing taken away from the LA one. The New York Otto's daughter was really, that was really, really cool. I really, really enjoyed that. And I learned so much in that period of time. You guys were like, well, you got to be entertaining. I was like, I don't know how to be entertaining. Again, I had stage fright. I wouldn't even tell anybody I had stage fright. I was just like, I just put my hair in front of my face. No one sees me. Like a dog in a thunderstorm. I stick my head in the closet. No one will see me. I won't get hit with lightning. And but I mean, I got over that from size seminars. Remember that? Yeah, there's a bunch of other things I'd like to hear what Dan would have to say to get home. Dan, I know Sebastian has more things to say.
Absolutely.
We got almost everything.
Oh, we did?
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Vocals are auto-tuned. Your vocals in the first two records almost always just short of, again, you were lilting.
I'm naturally a flat singer.
Mm-hmm.
So I always had to, and it was like years of vocal training. And then eventually, when I became my own coach myself, but it took me a long time to realize that, first of all. And I think one of my best vocal coaches, what was his name? Oh my God, in LA.
James Lugo.
James Lugo, he was amazing. And he was the guy who told me, he's like, you know what? You're just always slightly flat. And I had a lot of vocal training, but he was the one who was the icing on the cake, who really filled in all the holes. You know, there were like always things that I couldn't quite figure out. And
Mm-hmm.
he gave me that power. He was like, yes, he pushed me. He pushed me a lot because he was, I think, and not to diminish any female vocal coaches, I am a vocal coach myself. But a male coach, I think it's important to have both, because the male coach, he had a different approach. And because a lot of female vocal coaches talk about gentle and, be gentle with your voice. But he was like, no, you're a fucking rock chick. You could be touring with Korn tomorrow. What are you going to do? You can't be gentle. There's no gentle. How are you going to be gentle on stage? How are you going to rest your voice when you have 9 days in a row of shows? Because I was always told like, oh yeah, rest the day before the show and all that kind of stuff. And I was always, you remember, I was always really, protective of it, which is, of course you have to be, but he taught me to like, no, you gotta roughen up your voice so that you it can. And then, we did like the 9 days and then I got hoarse, but there was a different story besides the band.
But the PBR helped your voice some.
And the PBR, I was so against PBR. I'm like, I would never drink that shit.
Colorado?
That was in Denver.
Yeah. Lugo, I remember how you said your other vocal coach was treat your voice like it was fragile, whereas James Lugo was saying, your voice is a muscle, you have to work it so it gets stronger and stronger. And once he said that, and I was hearing it, and then that's the other thing. I knew you for 3 months when I tried out, before I realized you were shorter than you are, because you always had those platform boots on.
I know. One day you like.
When you were writing that song, you took the boots off. I was like, oh shit, you're short. And you're like, what do you mean? I go, I always thought you were this much taller. That was hilarious.
I always have my tall boots on. That's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it just, I never, and all the other coaches I had, I mean, the one coach I had for a long time in New York, she was amazing. And she really, Inewa, and she opened me up. She was like really amazing. But then James was the one who helped me get the rock and roll into my voice and to open me up,
Right. He was complimentary to her. She was the yin and he was the, and which made you what then you could turn it on if you had to, and you would find it.
Exactly. Perfect analysis, like analogy, whatever you say. I feel like I'm really blessed that everything happened because you helped totally change the sound of Otto's Daughter to where I always wanted to subconsciously. At first I didn't even know where I wanted to go, because we were just doing whatever. But then when you joined and I was like, oh my God, like I love Metallica. Jim is so Metallica.
And I had to figure out what kind of makeup to put on. That was.
And I'm trying to make it feel like the gas boy,
I'm trying to do like a wrestling thing.
But people just fucking loved you, and and it was also great to see you go from being really shy and not very, you were really like always, what's the word?
Scared.
Not just scared, but not confident. You were always saying that you're not good and this and that, And so I loved when I watched you going from, you didn't know who you were on stage at first, but then at the end you had your shit down, where that's who you were, and you were this fucking rock god that everybody just kind of wanted to be, you know? Yes, you are. Your fucking hair,
I really wouldn't say
and
that.
fucking slim, and the guitar and bleeding, and it was just so cool. I mean, how you would always say you love watching me. Sometimes you would fuck up because you were watching me. Remember that?
That I think that was like the first 5 or 6 months, not even 5 or 6 shows. First months, I'd be like, "The fuck is she? Oh fuck, I fucked up." I'm like, what? And fucking yeah, it's amazing.
But that's how I felt about you. I was like, I love what he's doing. I want to watch it, but I gotta perform. You know, like.
I don't know. The first time I ever bled playing guitar was at the Blade show at ironically at Webster Hall when we were playing.
Yeah.
Remember the one that they had one speaker? I heard everything fine because we were in the front. We heard the monitors, and I was just trying to be entertaining. And it was the weirdest stage I played on because it was a runway. It was like
I loved it because I was running. Yeah, I loved the runway. I was like,
and I was trying to stay out of your way, stay out of Sebastian's way. Dan, I think, just stayed back there the whole time. And I was just trying to play so hard and be so entertaining because I didn't know what to do. And at the end of the show, I'm like, blood all over my guitar. What the fuck happened? And I look at my hand, I'm like, oh. And then that became a thing. And I was just bleeding all the time, which probably isn't healthy for a long tour.
Works for Carlton. Carlton bleeds.
Oh yeah, well that was that's a whole other fucking episode. Never mind. Carlton's awesome. He's the best.
But it was just, I mean, it was just funny to see, like, because at the beginning I always laughed because you're like, what am I supposed to do? Like, just stand here? There's nothing for me to do. I'm like, just fucking entertain the crowd. Stand to the crowd. You're like, no, I'm not going to do
Garrison did that. Garrison was perfect at that. He'd stare you down. I would actually just sit there with my head down and check my tuning. Just check my tuning, off to the song, check my tuning. I don't want to look at it as people looking at me.
So to wrap up this episode, and I mean, now we're getting just warmed up, I feel, but what's your funniest gadget story, your funniest Dan story, your funniest Sebastian story?
All right. Oh, watching the sunset with Gadget was pretty awkward and funny. Actually, Gadget was a very funny guy.
He was
very cerebral, but you had to, like, it was again Monty Python humor where you had to think. He wasn't giving you potty humor. He was giving you shit that, like, you had to pull references.
He's very subtle, like he just throws it in there.
Geez, there's so many things. Gadget. My favorite Gadget story is from the Los Angeles. It's one of my favorite stories ever in my entire life. He said one of the funniest things I ever said in my life. We had Chimpo at the time playing bass. And Gadget and Chimpo spoke the same language. They were from the pro audio section of the music industry. So everything that Gadget was always doing, Chimpo knew. So the two of them instantly gelled because they spoke the same language and nomenclature. So we were putting together 2 more light boxes. Because remember, one light box wasn't enough in Los Angeles. We had to make one that Garrison could see.
And for, yeah.
And one for me. And
yeah.
Even then, him and I tread lightly on it. And I don't even think he could stand on his. But we were wiring up the light box. And it was me, Gadget, and Chimpo. And Gadget's busy doing wiring. So he's talking, but not paying attention for impact or anything. He's just talking. So something came up, and Chimpo's a Scientologist. So Gadget's like, "You're a Scientologist?" Chimpo's like, "Yeah, I'm a Scientologist." Gadget's like, "You must get some sweet hit points for that." And that's a Dungeons and Dragons reference, which means you had to be a geek to get the joke. But the joke is fucking, I laughed right in his face. Gadget had like a little snicker, looked up at me, a little snicker, went back to wiring. Chimpo was, that's the only time I ever saw Chimpo like get caught off guard and actually get like upset. And, yeah, and Gadget just, let's have some sweet hit points on that. Just like that. I think I got up and I left. I was like, I can't even be in the same room as Chimpo because it's uncomfortable for me because I left. But that was Gadget. You had books to get some of his humor. He was a very intelligent guy. Dan stories. There's a few. It's always him talking. No, it's not always him talking. Coming back from, we were coming back from Boston. We played with Queens, Kings and Queens and Kings.
Oh yeah.
They were a great band.
Oh my God. Kings and Queens? The Kings and Queens?
All the Queens Men?
All the Queens Men. Yes.
Something like that. But the girl had the Brian May guitar. I remember, and she was a really good guitar player. But we played with them in Boston, and we were coming back, and that's the same time, that's when you'd find out Al rules. But Dan was talking, and Gadget was co-pilot. You were sleeping, Sebastian was sleeping. Dan was sitting right behind us, and he was talking. And me and Gadget at this point just somehow magically tuned him out. And it was getting late, like it was starting to turn blue, like the sun was starting to want to come up soon. And I'm driving, and Dan was talking. And then Dan was talking. And I think Gadget and I looked over because something changed. And Dan was like this, and he's about to fall asleep. And he's like, he was talking. He talked himself to sleep. I think it was Gadget. It had to be Gadget, his co-pilot. This motherfucker talked himself to sleep. But his mouth was still moving while he was sleeping. He's like,
oh my God.
And then the other time we played, one of the last shows we played, Dan designed his own outfit near the end. He would be designing stuff. Boots he made, and he made his own shirt. And I was like, where'd you get that shirt? Because I made it. And I was like, that was really cool. And he had the makeup on, and he had his hair spiked up, and he had other things hanging from, he looked really good.
Yeah.
And we played the show at the downtime, and again, it's the downtime. And when we were done, I think I put a hoodie on. I had like a regular surfer hoodie, and I didn't look like I even belonged in the club at that point. And I think you wiped most of your makeup off, wiping the sweat off your face. And we were talking to some people and stuff, and Dan was right next to us. And these people come up, you guys were great. And I have a hoodie on. I don't look like I look like I walked in to see if someone wanted pizza. And you guys were great. And he walked away, and Dan's like, right here, I'm wearing my Stings uniform. Nobody knows. What? No one sees me. I'm like, Dan, I don't know what to tell you. And I walked away. I didn't want to laugh in his face either. But
that was the strangest thing. No one ever saw him. Like he'd walk off stage with us, and nobody would have, or hardly ever somebody would approach him. I don't know why.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know. I thought he has a good presence on stage. To me,
think so. Yeah, he was great.
Once in a while. Yeah.
And he had a great look to begin with. He always took care. He always dressed the part. You know, it was weird.
Yeah. It was a good balance. He fit in way better with you four than I did.
Yeah, absolutely.
I looked like odd man out most of the time, and I tried to do what I could to make something work. But
right.
The Sebastian story, again, this is kind of the precursor with the lighting pyro thing too. We'd always open with Stuck. When I first joined with you guys, you'd Stuck, and it has this long intro, which gives, for some reason, we have to say something to each other before it starts. I don't know why, but that's when, so I walked over, and it was with this fucking gothic Gilligan hat he had on in Grape Street, which was the same night we damaged the trailer. I damaged the trailer. You guys were talking to him like, you can't wear that hat. It doesn't look good. It looks stupid. It's like you look like you're wearing a fisherman's hat. And it was black, so it looked like Gilligan's hat, but gothic. And he's like, oh, I like this hat. So we go up on stage, and we start, and you come on stage in time to sing. So you're not even in the room. We're starting and hear that, and I have the click in my ear. So I'm hearing, and I'm keeping count. And I look over, and we had a little powwow, me, Gadget, and Sebastian at Grape Street, and Sebastian's got a hat on. And I look over at Gadget, and I look over him, and I think Gadget's like, I thought we decided you're not wearing that hat. I was like, I heard that, and he's like, well, I decided you can all go fuck yourself. 2, 3, 4, and the song kicks. So I was like, what? Okay, let's just start the show. What the fuck just happened? This is going to be an interesting van ride after this show. And as far as the the infamous trailer at the Philadelphia Zoo thing. We were leaving Grape Street. We played with Carfax, as always. And we were heading to Pittsburgh. I think I took a turn too close and broke and popped the sidewall on one of the tires on the trailer on the curb. We didn't really know. We were like, did we hit something? I don't think so. Everything's okay. No cars in the way. All right, let's go. So we go on the highway, and Gadget notices the tire smoking. It's like, Jim, I think the tire's smoking. I look in the rearview mirror, and I'm looking, and I kind of see something, but not really. I'm like, I just, this is how I remember it. Just keep an eye on it, And then he says to everybody else, hey, the tire's smoking, and you guys are like, oh, you worry, Wart, and and I'm like, all right, we'll take a look at it, and then the tire goes on fire. Jim's tire's on fire now. I said, all right, listen, this happened at work with the trailer at work. I'll take the next exit, and we'll pull over and we'll call AAA. I remember specifically saying, don't worry about it. I got it. We're just going to get up to the next exit. Now, I don't know if it was like a super long exit between this or someone didn't let me off or something. But then the tire was gone and we were getting sparks. And by that time, we got onto the off-ramp. And that's when the axle just died. And then I was basically plowing the street right up to the front of the Philadelphia Zoo. And you guys are like, we have a photo shoot with Kyle Cassidy. I'm like, that ain't happening. And Gadget's like, listen, call Kyle, pick you guys up, and we'll wait. It's going to be an hour, 2 hours. So we go and wait. And I had a green plaid blanket, like a flannel blanket, that I always leave in the back of the van. And I put it around me, and I stood on top of the trailer, and I was doing Braveheart and dumb shit like that. But only Gadget and Dan was there to see it. And then Dan's like, I'm tired, and we're like, just have them come and get you, and me and Gadget will wait. So that's that story. But yeah, that's a pretty good Gadget story. But my favorite one is the one out in Los Angeles. Again, he's done a lot of funny things, but it's mostly like he says, you got to be there.
Yeah, there was so many things where you had to be there, but I would say we were like a funny bunch. I mean, I would say almost every lineup we had, for the most part, it was a funny bunch of people. But that was really, Dan was hilarious and the funniest thing about Dan was that he was trying to be funny. There's certain people, they try to be funny, but then some people are just like, you just can't help but laugh, and you have to be careful because you don't mean it in an insulting way, just like, you're fucking funny. You don't know it, but you are. He's like, what did I do now?
Like, yeah, his reactions to life was what made it funny.
And that was really funny that you guys had to like wait, and then we did a freaking photo shoot with Kyle Cassidy. But we had to do what we had to do, right? And
yes.
And for our whole lifespan in Otto's daughter, we hardly ever had any breakdowns. That was probably one.
No, we've been blessed.
We've been super blessed. We never had, and we've done a lot of
breakdowns. No, nothing stolen.
Mm-hmm.
No one hurt.
Yeah, we've been super blessed.
I also have another funny story about Pennsylvania. Remember we played Pittsburgh and we played that girl power show, or whatever the fuck it was.
I hardly made it because I was right. I had to go from finishing my makeup to straight to stage. I had this purple thing on with the flower. Yeah.
But we were playing, and we were playing basketball, and I looked down, and there's a girl whipping another girl on all fours. I'm like, oh, that poor girl. And the lights were coming out from, it was like a,
poor girl.
Jamie's Got a Gun video where all the lights from the show were coming from the floor. So it was a really cool look. And I looked down again, and I was like, oh, she's whipping a nun. I'm like, yeah, whatever. I looked down again. The nun is a dude. And I'm like, boy, my guitar teacher this is not what he expected when he was teaching me how to play G and C and D. He's like, playing next to a guy getting whipped in a nun outfit by a girl in Pittsburgh. I was like, Ralph would be really mad right now if he heard this. There's a bunch of shit. And we played, whenever we would play Showgirl, you would spin around. And then you would spin around, you forgot where to come in. And then you would start singing at the wrong time. And the rest of the band would just look at each other like, don't change, don't change, don't change. Just stay where you are. Let her do her thing. Just stay where you are. The tracks are going to stop when the tracks stop.
I would fuck that song up so often because I'd pull girls on stage and I would just do my thing. But we were like, so I would just know, I just do my thing. I'm like, okay, as long as the guys know where they are, it's okay, because then I'll just do my thing. And I think Dan or somebody like tried to follow me, and then you were like, don't ever follow her. Like, just, do your thing. I think the only time we all got thrown off was when we played with, when we toured with our drummer, Mike, who threw us all off so much that we looked at each other and we're like, I don't know where the fuck I am in this song. Remember that? And we started over.
Kansas City. That was it.
Yeah, we were on tour with another band, or was it? No, we were on tour with I Am Demure, and we were and yeah, we open up, and that's when Rattan said, "Oh, I thought you meant to do that. That was not rehearsed." I'm like, no, we were seriously lost in the song. We had to start over because
that was Robbie.
I was Robbie. It was
Robbie did that.
Oh my God, it was like so bad that we're like. You even said, I looked at you and I'm like, and you're like, me neither. I'm like, stop the song, to the drummer, stop the song, let's start over. And then we told the crowd.
But he stopped it perfectly.
Yeah.
He stopped like we meant to stop it. I do remember that, because Garrison, that was the last time we played with Garrison. Garrison was always on point. Garrison never fucked up. Never.
Right, that is actually true, yeah.
But that was Robbie. Now, we fucked up. We have a couple of horrible drummers. This is going to probably be for next time, too. There was the dude who looked like Johnny Depp.
Oh, my God, I forgot all about him.
That's when it was me, you, Cash, and then Carlton came up. And Carlton's like, he was going to play Get Up. He was going to play Get Up. And we're like, Carlton, come to practice and we'll play Get Up. He's like, I don't need to come to practice. And you and I were like, well, Carlton is a professional. He don't need to come to practice. Carlton fucked it up all over the place. And afterwards, we went upstairs to Roxy. And we went up to the dressing room, and he's like, yeah, I think next time I'm really going to have to practice with you guys. And your mother's like, he's dead. What's wrong with him? He's dead.
Well, he was also hanging out and like drinking and stuff. So he was probably just like, but yeah, it was.
But your mom never saw a goth guy before.
Oh my God. Oh my mom. That was what my mom, oh my God. She was frightened by Carlton. She's like, I'm scared of the guy. And I'm like, Mom, there's nothing to be scared of. Like, that's
the nicest guy in California.
Oh my God. She was, and then she stole his belt, remember? And she was like dancing around. She was hilarious.
No, I don't. Thank God I don't remember.
my mom had a few too many, and then she was like, ah, and I'm like, give him his belt back. And then he came home with us. We hung out afterwards, and then she was not as scared anymore because she was in our house. But that was just, oh my God. But yeah.
Nicest guy.
But that was like one of the times where we had to kind of stop the song. Cause like, I mean, I stopped the song a few times actually, like throughout our years. And it's always fun. The crowd loves that. The crowd loves when you just admit that something is completely wrong and you have to start over.
That's why I told everybody I didn't play.
Oh, stop it. Looking back, it's funny now, but I was so mad at you. I'm like, don't fucking tell that anybody. Damn, I don't want them to know. And you're like, what? It's true. And I'm like, I don't care if it's true or not.
I got a good Carfax Abbey story too.
What's that?
The second time we went down to New Orleans, we went with Carfax. Remember?
Yeah, I remember that.
So we're walking to the Crowbar. Was it the Crowbar? It was on the second floor in the French Quarter. And we were all walking together. And then I was walking with Gary. With Gary. No, I wasn't with John. John was with the rest of his band. And for some reason, I was talking to Gary, and Gary's like, man, where can we get a drink around here? I said, oh, I know where we can go. So him and I walked over to Pat O'Brien's, and it had the beer garden, the open air in the middle, so a fountain. And me and him walked in, and I looked like me. Well, I looked like me then. And Gary had short black hair, so Gary looked like a regular dude. So we walked in and we ordered 2 drinks. And then Gary's like, yeah, I've got to finish this, John's going to be on my ass or some shit like that. And we're drinking. and he orders another drink. And just as he gets his other drink, for some reason I look back and all of you guys walked in and you see John's head like a goth shark just parting through the college crowd. And all of you guys are coming in and Gary's like, oh shit, shotguns his drink, looks over, grabs mine, shotguns mine. He's trying to and John's like, what did I tell you? Come on, Gary, we got to get out of here. Gary's like, oh no, just stop for a beer. I was like, yeah, I'm sorry, man, I just stopped for a beer. And then the other time we were sitting down the day of the show, we were sitting down, we all went to a restaurant to get something to eat. Remember that? It was like 15 of us at the table.
Where? In New Orleans?
Yeah, in New Orleans, in a little like restaurant type of thing in the quarter. We all sat down, they put the tables together and everything, and we're all sitting there like, yeah, this is gonna be great. But it was like taking 10 minutes. They didn't even come and ask us what we want. And Dad was like, we gotta go, we gotta play, we gotta go. So we're all sitting there reading the menu like, this sounds good. God's just like, no, come on, we gotta go. So we had to get up and leave, and they got up and left. And John's like, are we really not gonna eat here? All of us got back up and we all walked out. And then I heard they were telling all their friends, are like, you were in New Orleans, where did you go to eat? And they're like, we ate at a gas station because we couldn't sit down and eat. Oh man. Oh man, I was so angry for them. I was like, oh, I'm here. I love New Orleans. I'll always come back just to get something to eat.
Right.
But I don't know. But that was so much fun playing with those guys, man.
Yeah.
Love that. Because you and Gary, it was like watching you and then you watch Gary. And it was almost like you guys, without trying, you were trying to like one up each other. It was always interesting to watch. And I was always trying to aspire to get to that level that they were at as far as intensity, because they were ridiculously intense. We weren't writing like that though, but I wanted to be that at that level. And you guys were always like, calm down, man, different bands. And
yeah, you always compared. Like, I never saw that. I mean, it was funny because Gary would someone say like, oh, you know, you kicked my ass. And I'm like, what? Like, it's funny. Like, you've been always a bit competitive, like with that.
Always.
And for me, it's always been like, you know, every band has their own thing. And we had definitely our own power, kind of, and it became more power later on. But we had our intense theatrical thing, and then Gary is super intense, you know, so they had their thing. And that's why I love playing with. That's the one thing too. Like, I always love playing with bands that are as good as us, if not better, because I always feel that, at least from where I'm standing, what I'm seeing, as you know, I wanted to always play with like professional bands who are like got their shit together. They're like, they know how to put on a show and they want to put on a show, versus just a band that is just not, you know, like they don't have their shit together and they just
Right.
like have an attitude, you know, like, and Carfax, they didn't have that. They didn't have an attitude. They were just like super cool and super awesome, you know, and they had a great music. Yeah. So that's one of the things I think we that was our thing, right? Like,
Yeah. Well, that's the competition thing as far as what always drove me. It was like that in every band I've ever been in. It's like, I always wanted to be the worst person in the band, worst musician in the band. And not because I suck, but because I want to be with people who are that good that make you better.
absolutely.
With bands like Carfax, bands like The Dreaming, who were other bands that are just like completely off the chain? I'm trying to think now. But
Theory of a Dead Man, they were really good too. And then of course, you want to go there. Celtic Frost was freaking amazing.
I know, but again, that's apples and oranges. Those guys are amazing. Those are incredible.
Negative, you know.
Life that I play with them. That's a bucket list thing that I didn't even know was on my bucket list.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like saying, oh, the Beatles are together, you know, well, not, but
right.
Band's not ever getting together again. They got together again. What? We're playing with them? Holy shit. So, but yeah, always to be that. And the other thing was always like the way I look at things, which is horrible, I guess, but 3 bands are playing that night. Everybody only has $100 in their pocket. I want to be the band that gets everybody's money out of their pocket. I want to be good enough for you to go into your pocket and part with $30, $40. And I want to be better than that band that could take that $30, $40. It's a horrible way to go about it, but That's how you get good.
Well, I think if all bands are really good, people will spend money on everybody. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And I also love what was really the coolest thing, and we're going to talk about the next time, but the coolest thing about playing with, there's so many cool things about playing with Typo, but one of the cool things about playing with Typo was when we had to raise our prices. You know, we didn't mean to, but they made us. And I was like,
respect for them.
yeah. And I was like, and I mean, our shirts were not cheaper to sell more. That was just our price. And then we sold, that was the most we ever sold, which is like amazing, because I'm like, oh wow, they made us raise our price to match theirs, and which is awesome. And then people actually bought it, and that made me realize, you know, to value yourself more, which maybe sometimes we were like, we are really nice people. Unfortunately, we are very blunt. That we definitely have that in common. I'm German, you're from Brooklyn. We are very blunt people. You're more so than me. I think I have a bit more tact than you do at times.
I have tact. I just choose not to use it anymore.
But that's just who you are, and that's how I am. But I think we were always really kind and nice people. So when somebody didn't have money, even if they had money, we would sometimes give them a shirt or give them a CD for free. And I was like, but then I was like, God, I gotta stop doing that. You know, that's not how you run a business. But we were not always good at that, you know, but because we just wanted people to like have the best experience, and, you know,
exactly.
You know, and give them something, because we love giving. And it's not always just about the money. You know, if a kid is like really into you and they just don't have it, then we were like never saying, oh, you can have it, you know.
Exactly.
You know, so I don't regret that, but I was like, oh, we gotta stop kind of doing that, you know. Because everybody could come up to us and say, I don't have any money, you know, and we're like, okay, you know. Next thing you know, is all our shirts are empty, like, we just gave them all away because they don't have any money, and then we spent like all the money on someone else. It's like, you know, it's a fine line between being business smart and being still nice and kind, and, you know, doing it right. But I think that's also one of the things we've always done, and you've always been great at, just like really nurturing the fans and spending quality time with the fans, you know.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was
the fun part.
Yeah, that was always fun.
Mm-hmm.
I was always blown away. I don't know what show that was, but there was like one time where somebody bought everything we had. Remember that? I mean, they bought everything, every CD, every T-shirt. I don't remember whether it was in some.
It was Detroit.
Maybe it was like
the tutus.
That. Yeah, I was selling tutus, but I think so. And I was blown away by that. This person bought everything. He's like, what else you got? I know, that's where we got our tattoos.
That's where we got the tattoos.
Tattoos.
My birthday.
Yes. Was it your birthday?
It was my birthday.
Yeah.
And then the next day we had to play Tybee Island, Georgia. And I had to drive from Detroit to Tybee Island. And I think I had like 6 months. By that time I was drinking that Monster Energy drink stuff.
How long did it take to go there?
I want to say like 15, 16 hours.
And that's where we slept on the beach.
Right. And, was it? I think it was.
I love that place. That's where people outside watched the show. The Russians they walked outside.
Four Russian girls.
They couldn't come in or something.
Diaries.
The what?
The 4 Russian girls knew about us from the Vampire Diaries.
Oh, that's right. And that's all like LA times when we hit the road and we were touring. You are the fucking guy that I always had to force you to go anywhere. Jim, let's go there. I don't want to go. I don't want to go. And then I'm like in the corner being bored, and you were like blah 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 talking to everybody. I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? He didn't want to go. Like
LA did that to me. LA taught me to do everything I can do now. Doing the NAMM show for a decade.
And Guitar Center, I think that's
Guitar Center, and Wagner, and Schechter.
You come a long way, mister.
Yeah, now I can set my amp.
And you can set your amp. That's freaking awesome. Yeah, but I don't have that much time editing because I need to finish the music video. But it's almost.
I get the pretzels out of my beer.
brush your hair, but you comb your beard.
I put these stupid masks on, and then it curls the mask.
When you put
And
the
then
mask on, what mask?
These masks.
Oh, those masks. The face diaper.
Face diapers. You put pudding in it.
I saw you walking around your apartment with a mask on, like a real mask.
No, but I got this one too.
Oh, you should wear that for the next podcast. There you go. There you go. One more time. I'm not going to even say goodbye anymore.
You already said goodbye a half hour ago, 40 minutes ago.
Exactly. But we got to say goodbye one more time. This is it. This is it. We're going to do until next time. Love you.
Love you too. Talk to you later. You want to get this real quick? Record it. Go ahead, record it. Put your hood on, hit play, and we'll just both sit there like this.
Show me your sleeves. Show me your sleeves.
Don't go. The sleeves stop. That's why I have to put them halfway. I got these monkey arms.
Oh my God.
So now put the play, and then we'll just both sit there like this.
I am recording. It's recording.
You suck. Ready?
Our new music video. The shawl. It's about the shawl. Get the shawl. Get the shawl. Hold on.
Oh. Brian Mendez, yo. Mendiza one. Definitely put that in my phone. I like that. Oh, I'll wear Brian's shirt with the shawl next time. Actually, I just want. What?
Don't matter your gender. Don't matter your race. Don't matter your size. It's perfectly embrace the shawl. JVB. Oh my God. Thank you.
No problem. It's a cheap plug for the shawl.
You have learned how to put on a show. You're a showman.
No choice.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. I know you have a lot of other things to choose from, and for you to take the time out of your busy schedule by having all these other options, staying here with us and listening to our conversation, I really highly appreciate that. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, please hit the like button, and please share it with your friends if you got something out of it. Also, don't be afraid to reach out to my guests. And I will talk to you next week. And as always, you're going to hear a track of mine at the end of this. And you're going to purchase my music at ottosdaughter.com or JacquelineVanBierk.com. And you can also find me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm all over the place and I would love to connect with you. Thank you for listening, and you have an amazing, fantastic evening, day, morning, week, year, life. Love you.